The world held its breath. It was a time of shadows and steel. Across the vast plains of Europe, panzer tanks kicked up dust, their engines a low, menacing growl. They moved like a tide of iron, relentless, seemingly unstoppable. A new kind of warfare for a new, brutal age. Above them, Stuka dive bombers screamed down, their sirens a terrifying psychological weapon, heralding a reign of fire and destruction. The air crackled with tension, fear, and the acrid smell of smoke. This was not a war of trenches and slow advances. It was blitzkrieg, lightning speed. Then came the voice. Radios in beer halls and living rooms. A rasping, furious torrent that captivated a nation and terrified the world. Adolf Hitler at podiums, gestures sharp, eyes blazing. He spoke of destiny. He spoke of grievance. His speeches became the soundtrack, fueling nationalistic fervor in the German war machine. Cities that had stood for centuries were hollowed out. Before this great conflict, war had been a thing of horsepower and manpower, cavalry charges, marching infantry, coal-powered dreadnoughts that churned through the seas. But this new war, this blitzkrieg, was different. It was a war of internal combustion. The tank, the airplane, the truck, the jeep, the submarine, they all shared a common unquenchable thirst. They ran on oil. Suddenly, this sticky black liquid, pumped from deep within the earth, became the single most critical resource on the planet. It was the lifeblood of modern warfare, more precious than gold, more vital than ammunition. The generals and strategists on both sides came to a stark realization. A nation could have the largest army, but without oil, it was just a collection of men. The entire strategy of the war began to pivot around this single commodity. The German war machine's push into the Soviet Union was a desperate gamble to seize the Caucasus oil fields. Without a secure supply of petroleum, tanks would halt and planes be grounded. Japan, under US embargo, lunged for the oil-rich Dutch East Indies. While Germany and Japan scrambled for fuel, America sat atop a geological jackpot, the Saudi Arabia of the world. Texas, Oklahoma, California, pumping crude at a rate the rest could only dream of. When the war began, America produced over 60% of the world's petroleum, a hidden ace, decisive. The American war effort, and that of its allies, would be fueled by immense domestic capacity. Of every 10 barrels used by the Allies, nearly 7 came from the United States. American tankers formed a bridge across the Atlantic, braving the U-boat menace, carrying refined gasoline and diesel that powered British and later American armies. The Red Ball Express, a moving river of trucks on American fuel, delivering victory. Without that fuel, the breakout from Normandy and the dash across France were impossible. In the Pacific, oiler ships shadowed carriers and battleships, refueling them in a dangerous dance. America's ability to produce and transport fuel made ocean-spanning power possible. Japan's navy found ships confined to port, pilots grounded for lack of avgas. While Axis tanks and planes were abandoned, the Allied machine roared on toward Berlin and Tokyo, while the bombs rained down on Europe and Asia. London, Warsaw, Berlin, Tokyo, factories shattered, infrastructure pulverized. Generations of wealth and skill vanished in smoke and dust. America, protected by 2 vast oceans, was untouched at its industrial core. The war jolted the U.S. from the Great Depression. The arsenal of democracy roared to life. Car plants became tank lines. Aircraft rolled out by the thousands. Shipyards launched vessels at a breathtaking pace. Between 1940 and 1945, U.S. GNP more than doubled. Millions found work, including women in unprecedented numbers. Rosie the Riveter led the way. America built not just for itself but for allies, literally forging the tools of victory. By 1945, Europe and Japan lay in ruins. The U.S. held nearly 2/3 of global industrial capacity. It was the sole major industrial power left standing. This dominance became the foundation of its new role on the world stage. With Europe in ashes and governments in debt, the old financial order crumbled. For centuries, the British pound anchored trade, backed by the empire. World War II bankrupted Britain. Assets sold, vast debts accrued, largely to the United States. The world needed a new, stable base. In 1944, 44 Allied nations met at Bretton Woods to prevent a return to chaos. They created the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The centerpiece, the US dollar as reserve currency, pegged to gold at $35 per ounce. Other currencies pegged to the dollar. The US held most of the world's official gold, cementing credibility. Oil, commodities, manufactured goods, priced and settled in dollars. Central banks amassed dollars, creating constant global demand. The financial center of gravity moved from London to New York. Backed by American gold and unmatched industrial strength, the dollar was now king. As the dust settled, a new power emerged. American power rested on two pillars, the dollar and oil. With most transactions in dollars, the US held a unique position. It could run deficits and remain the global clearinghouse. American banks, rules, and policy sent ripples worldwide. To be cut off from the dollar system was to be cut off from the world. America looked to vast Middle East reserves for a growing world. U.S. policy focused on stability and flow. The Navy protected vital sea lanes once guarded by Britain. Oil priced in dollars reinforced demand for dollars, the petrodollar enduring beyond 1971. American military and diplomacy, funded by its economy, guaranteed oil security. America became the indispensable nation, guarantor of the post-war economic and energy order. Look around our world today. It is a world born from the ashes of that great and terrible war. The global system of trade, the flow of capital, and the energy that powers our lives descend from the order America built. Free trade, protected by American power, became the backbone of prosperity. It helped lift billions and knit the world together. The U.S. Navy keeps the sea lanes open, the lifeblood of commerce flowing. This projection of power preserves a system America set in place. Our digital hum, our lights, our movement, still driven by wartime lessons in energy. Giant supertankers ply routes from Middle East fields to Asia, Europe, and America. Energy still shapes politics. Oil remains strategic and America-central. The war ended by creating a new kind of world, one remade by oil, money, and American might.